All right, guys, it's crunch time here on The Jump. I'm back with Chiney Ogwumike and Brian Windhorst. It was announced today that Charles Oakley is on the new season of Dancing with the Stars. This is amazing. We've seen other NBA greats do this, Kareem, Clyde Drexler, but Chiney, are you interested to see what kind of moves Oak has in the ballroom?
Yo, I love this, and particularly I love this for producer Steve, who's a Knicks fan, because if you're a Knicks fan and you need some love, this is your chance to really challenge yourself to win a championship, but in a different arena. So this is great for Oak. And I also heard that Carol Baskins is in there, so it's going to be really interesting to see what wins.
I, for one, am not saying anything bad about Charles Oakley doing anything.
Producer Steve, Chiney would like you to know that he has given up being a Knicks fan forever, but we'll talk about that more later. Let's talk about Brandon Ingram, named the NBA's most improved player this week. This is his fourth season. Ingram averaging almost 24 points per game, received 42 first-place votes. Bam Adebayo was a very close second, 38 first-place votes. Brian, you're a voter. Who did you vote for, and how hard was the decision?
Yeah, I voted for Brandon Ingram, and I know that there are several people who are upset with the way this vote went. I, like a lot of voters, don't really consider first or second year players in this because it's natural for them to improve. I know that's a controversial opinion, but I thought Brandon Ingram earned this award, and he's going to earn a max contract when the offseason comes.
What about you, Chiney? Who would you have voted for?
I love this for B.I. I love this for B.I. just because he went from 18 to 24 points per game. He almost had the Pelicans in the playoffs without Zion for a large portion of the stretch. So he was a go-to guy. He took the next step. I'm happy for B.I.
I saw someone on Twitter say that they should rename this award the High Draft Pick Meets Expectations Award. I'm not sure I would go that far, but I personally voted for Luka Doncic. I don't think this has to be a young player coming into more form. I think the leap that he made from Rookie of the Year to being firmly in the MVP conversation is something we haven't seen in a long time. All right, it's time to talk about the Godfather. Pat Riley celebrating 25 years with the Heat yesterday. Miami has won all 3 of their titles during Riles' time there. It's incredible when you consider he already had 5 championships, 4 as a coach, 1 as a player, before even getting to Miami. Brian, I cannot imagine the Miami Heat without Pat Riley. Can you?
Yeah, they look like the New York Knicks for the last 25 years, probably, because this was one of the greatest trades in the history of the NBA. First round draft pick, $1 million, one of the great deals of all time.
Oh, I love this movie, The Godfather. I love this fact more so that he was the first North American sports figure to have, a championship as a player, assistant coach, head coach, and an executive. So he's really just set the standard in all regards when it comes to sports.
All right, we're going to continue talking about Heat culture here because I want to focus on Jimmy Butler. Brian, I love the piece you wrote on Butler's fit with the Heat organization. We recommended that in the last block. What makes Butler and Miami such a perfect match? That story that you told about in your piece about the beginning of his time there in the conditioning test, it's just amazing.
I don't think Pat Riley has ever been more in love with a player this fast than he has with Jimmy Butler, at least in Miami. Obviously, he's got some guys over the years like Tim Hardaway, Alonzo Mourning, Dwayne Wade, Udonis Haslem, but they have never fallen so hard as they have for Jimmy Butler because he embodies what they want in a Heat player. Other organizations see Jimmy Butler as bringing baggage to certain situations because of how he is. The Heat see that as an asset. They love everything about him. They send song lyrics to each other back and forth, Rachel, Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler, almost like they're writing love poems to each other. I'm telling you.
You know what I love about this? When you think about Heat, you think about, fire and smoke. And you sort of want a player that sort of wants the smoke, wants all the heat.
Oh, all
and that's Jimmy Butler.
All of it.
And when you think about the franchise as well, a lot of people say franchise players have to look like a LeBron James, a Zion, a Giannis Antetokounmpo, but not necessarily. Franchise players can also embody the mentality of a franchise so that it can galvanize its players to play better. And that's a Bam Adebayo sort of taking on that sort of mantle as well. You've got young players in Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero that want the smoke from the three-point line. So it's cool that Jimmy Butler is the guy that brings all of those guys together, and he embodies exactly what Pat Riley wants.
Yeah, and Chiney, we saw Joel Embiid tweeting about Jimmy during the 4th quarter of Game 1. There's certainly been buzz about Jimmy trying to recruit Joel to ask for a trade to Miami. How do you think other players around the league feel about wanting to play with Jimmy Butler right now? Because there was a time where the idea was, oh, he's a little bit contentious, he's giving a hard time to Karl Anthony Towns or Andrew Wiggins. How do you think other players see him now as a potential teammate?
I've been saying this consistently. The man's from Tomball, Texas. I was born at Tomball Hospital. And in Texas, sometimes our personalities, everything's bigger and better in Texas. Our personalities sometimes are too hot to handle, speaking of the heat, right? So Jimmy Butler, I'm glad that he's sort of found a home. And I love that Joel Embiid is back to social media as well, because that's what we missed about him putting those narratives out there, because I feel like it brings the best in him too, even though it's like you're watching your ex go flourish with someone else. It sort of hurts though.
Jimmy is not for everybody. Playing with Jimmy is not for everybody. Playing in Miami is not for everybody, but it's for a lot of people. And watch out for the Heat and free agency, especially in 2021. Jimmy's still going to have a lot in the tank. Absolutely.
By the way, their exes, Joel and Jimmy, not because they broke up with each other. Someone else broke them up. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.